Hello and welcome back again, Coffee Beans. This is Soil and Water Conservation Engineering. Definition of terms. Parts Hijkl and M. Head. The energy in the liquid system expressed is the equivalent height of a water column above a given datum. Quantity used to express a form of energy content of the liquid per unit weight of the liquid referred to any arbitrary datum. Head ditch. Ditch across the upper end of a field used for distributing water in the surface irrigation. Head gate. Water control structure at the entrance to a conduit or canal. Head loss. Energy loss in fluid flow. Headwater. Water upstream from a structure, source of a stream. Headworks. Diversion structures at the upper end of a conduit or canal. Herringbone system. Arrangement of a pipe drainage system where laterals enter a main from both sides at angles less than 90 degrees. High water mark. A distinct mark made on vegetation. Buildings are rocks that shows the extent of water rise. Histogram. A graphical representation of a frequency distribution by a series of rectangles where the width of the rectangle represents the range of the variable and the height represents the frequency of occurrence. Humid climates. Climate characterized by high rainfall and low evaporation potential. Hydrant. An outlet, usually portable, used for connecting surface irrigation pipe to an alfalfa valve outlet. Hydraulic conductivity. The rate at which water will move through soil in response to a given potential gradient. Hydraulic diameter. The hydraulic diameter of an orifice is 4 times the orifice area divided by the orifice perimeter. Hydraulic efficiency. A measure of efficiency with which a pump imparts energy to water or a turbine extracts energy from water. Hydraulic gradient. Change in the hydraulic head per unit distance. Hydraulic pump. Abrupt turbulent rise in water level from a flow stage less than critical depth to a flow stage greater than critical depth within which the velocity passes from supercritical to subcritical. Hydraulic radius. Cross-sectional area of a fluid stream or conduit divided by its wetted perimeter, length of its conduit surface in contact with fluid. Hydraulic resistance. Friction along the wetted boundary of a channel or conduit that causes a loss in head. Hydraulic settling. Removal of water-transported particles by gravity. Hydraulic terms. Hydraulic terms shall be as defined in the American Society of Civil Engineers Manual of Engineering Practice No. 11. Hydrograph. Graphical or tabular representation of the flow rate of a stream with respect to time. Hydrologic condition. An indication of the effects of ground cover and treatment on infiltration and runoff generally estimated from the density of plants and residue cover on sample areas. Hydrologic cycle. Term used to describe the movement of water in and on the earth and atmosphere. Hydrology is a science that treats of the waters of the earth, their occurrence, circulation, and distribution, their chemical and physical properties, and their reaction with their environment, including their relation to living things. Hygroscopic coefficient. It is determined by placing an air-dry soil in a nearly saturated atmosphere at 25 degrees Celsius until it absorbs no more water. This tension is equal to a force of 31 atmospheres. Water at this tension is not available to plants. Hygroscopicity. The property of a substance which permits it to absorb and retain moisture. Hygroscopic moisture. Moisture absorbed by dry soil from a saturated atmosphere. Hygroscopic water. Water which has been absorbed from an atmosphere of water vapor as a result of attractive forces in the surface of the particles. Impact-driven sprinkler head. Type of rotating sprinkler head which rotates using weighted or spring-loaded arm which is propelled by the liquid stream and hits the sprinkler body. Impact threshold velocity. It is the minimum velocity required to initiate soil movement by impact of particles carried by wind or water. Impeller meter. A rotating mechanical device for measuring flow rate in a pipe or open channel. Impermeable layer. Soil. Layer of soil resistant to penetration by water, air, or roots. Infiltration. The downward entry of water through the soil surface into the soil. Infiltration opportunity time. The time that water inundates the soil surface with opportunity to infiltrate. Infiltration rate. The rate at which water enters the soil or other porous material under a given condition. Expressed as depth of water per unit time, usually in millimeters per hour. The quantity of water that enters the soil surface in a specified time interval. Infiltrometer. Device for measuring the infiltration rate. Inflow. The entry of extraneous rainwater into a sewer system from sources other than infiltration, such as basement drains, manholes, storm drains, and street washing. Influent stream. Stream or portion of stream that contributes water to the groundwater supply. Initial storage. That portion of precipitation required to satisfy interception, the wetting of the soil surface. And depression storage, sometimes called initial abstraction. Inlet. An appurtenance to deliver water to a pipeline system. In-stream flow. The amount of flow required to sustain stream values, including fish, wildlife, and recreation. In-stream flow requirements. The flow regime necessary to provide for the combined needs of fish, wildlife, recreation. Navigation, hydropower production, and downstream conveyance in a stream. In-stream use refers to the uses of water within the stream channel. Intake: 1. Headworks of a conduit. 2. The place of diversion. 3. Water infiltration into soil. The area where material to be conveyed enters the machine. Intake structure: it is a concrete structure usually built along the bank of a river or stream. It draws the water which would be channeled into an irrigation system. Interception: that portion of precipitation caught by vegetation and prevented from reaching the soil surface. Interceptor drain: a channel located across the flow of groundwater and installed to collect subsurface flow before it resurfaces. Surface water is also collected and removed. Interflow: that which infiltrates into the soil surface and moves laterally through the upper soil horizons towards streams is perched groundwater above major groundwater level. Interior dike: secondary dike in a multiple dike flood protection system. Interior drain: drain installed within a dam or other earth structure is distinguished from peripheral or interceptor drains. Intermittent stream: natural channel in which water does not flow continuously. Internal mixing pneumatic atomizer: a pneumatic atomizer in which gas and liquid are introduced and mixed within the nozzle, and are then discharged as a two-phase dispersion through a common orifice. Interral erosion: the removal of a fairly uniform layer of soil on a multitude or relatively small areas by splash due to raindrop impact and by shallow surface flow. Interstices: spaces between soil particles or aggregates, filled with water or air. Inversion: an increase in air temperature with an increase in altitude above the earth, resulting in increased stability of atmosphere. Invert: lowest element of the internal cross-section of a channel or pipe. Irrecoverable water: water loss that becomes unavailable for reuse through evaporation. Free-to-fight transpiration, or groundwater recharges that is not economically recoverable. Isotropic: the condition of a soil or other porous media when physical properties, particularly hydraulic conductivity, are equal in all directions. Jetty: a wall or dike built of piles, rock or other material extending into a stream or into the sea at the mouth of a river to include scouring or deposition or for erosion protection. Joint spacing: width of gap between adjacent rigid drain tiles through which water enters from the surrounding soil. Joint wrapping: placement of porous material over or around the pipe joints of subsurface drains to help prevent inflow of sediment. Junction: point of intersection of two drains, accessory used to create a connection between two pipelines. Key terrace: terrace that is selected as a reference in laying out other terraces. Knurling: a method of placing ridges in a surface, thereby forcing the areas between these ridges to rise. Lag time: hydrology: the interval between the time when 1/2 of the equivalent uniform excess rain, runoff, has fallen and the time when the peak of the runoff hydrograph occurs. Lamina: thin plate or scale or layer, or flakes is in a soil that is made up of thin flakes. Land capability: classification of soil units for the purpose of showing their relative suitability for specific uses, such as crop production with minimum erosion hazard. Land forming: tillage operations, which move soil to create desired soil configurations. Forming may be done on a large scale such as contouring or terracing, or on a small scale such as ridging or pitting. Land grading: the operation of shaping the surface of land to predetermined grades so each row or surface slopes to drain or is configured for efficient irrigation water applications. Land leveling: process of shaping the land surface to a level surface. A special case of lands grading. Land reclamation refers to the restoration of productivity to lands made barren through processes such as erosion. Mining or land clearing. Land use planning: decision-making process to determine present and future uses of land. The resulting plan is the key element of a comprehensive plan describing recommended location and intensity of development of public and private land uses such as residential, commercial, industrial, recreational, and agricultural. Lateral: the water delivery pipeline that supplies water to the emitters from the manifold pipelines. Lateral headgate is the structure built at the point where a lateral canal branches out from a main canal to regulate or control water flowing into the lateral canal. Leachate: water that moves downward through some porous media and contains dissolved substances removed from media. Leaching: the removal of soluble constituents such as nitrates or chlorides from soils or other material by water. Removal of soluble material from soil or other permeable material by the passage of water through it. Leak detection: systematic method of using listening equipment to survey the distribution system, identify leak sounds, and pinpoint the exact locations of hidden underground leaks. Left-hand thread: a thread which winds in a counterclockwise and receding direction from the starting end. When viewed from that end. Length of run: distance water must flow in furrows or borders over the surface of a field from the head to the end of the field. Level terrace: a terrace constructed along the contour with no slope and with either closed or open channel ends. Line gate, a hub-end screw type or butterfly gate which is installed in the pipeline. Line source, continuous source of water emitted along a line. Line source emitters, water is discharged from closely spaced perforations. Emitters or a porous wall along the lateral line. Lining, protective covering over the perimeter of a conduit. Reservoir, or channel to prevent seepage losses. To withstand pressure, or to resist erosion. Losing stream, channel that loses water into the bed or banks. Lysimeter, an isolated block of soil, usually undistributed and in situ, for measuring the quantity, quality, or rate of water movement through or from the soil. Mean depth, cross-sectional area of a stream divided by its surface width, the average depth. Mean velocity, velocity obtained by dividing the flow rate by the cross-sectional area. The average velocity, mechanical stability, strength, the degree of resistance of soil to deformation. Medicator, device which dispenses a medication at a known rate into a water line. Mists, distribution of droplets with 50 micrometer less than dB 0.5 less than 100 micrometer. Moisture capacity, is the moisture content in the soil per unit depth which is usually expressed in inches foot. Moisture condensation, occurs when the temperature drops below the dew point temperature of the air. Monitoring of water, monitoring of water use by an industry. Using metering for example, to provide baseline information on quantities of overall company water use. The seasonal and hourly patterns of water use. And the quantities and quality of water use in individual processes. Hope it helps. Thank you again for listening. Please like, subscribe and comment your suggestion on topics you want to hear. Links of previous topics are stated in the description box below. See you in the next part. Bye. Rar.